Now let's move to KwaZulu-Natal. Officials earlier doing a walkabout in KwaNongoma to assess the damage and look at how cleanup operations are progressing. This, of course, in the wake of the looting, violence and destruction of last week. So things are starting to look different on the ground. Locals are braving long queues to try and get essentials. Reporter Lethiwe Mdluli is tracking the story for us. Hi, Lethiwe. Thank you so much for joining us. So talk to us about KwaNongoma. Are things operating as normal, or has there been a knock-on effect after last week's unrest?
Well, Sally, what I can say is that things are semi-back to normal in KwaNongoma. There's been a lot of affected businesses in the area. A lot of businesses that were looted last week are still closed. And we've been told, and we've seen actually, one supermarket that is currently operating in this town. And the mayor earlier told us that around 300,000 people are affected by the looting. We have seen long queues of people basically wanting to get inside that one supermarket to get their food essentials. The mayor also says that they are now fearing that there will be job losses coming up because the town is reliant on these businesses. There's not a lot of economic activity in KwaNongoma. He says they don't have mines, they don't have factories, and a lot of people are employed by these outlets. So they are fearing that there won't be any jobs left for residents. He spoke to me earlier, and this is what he had to say.
The devastation is enormous. There are 115 shops that were actually vandalized, looted, damaged, and some of them actually burnt down. As I speak right now, there is only one grocery shop, that's Spar, that was actually spared from the devastation that took place last week. All because the community had to stand up and actually defend whatever was left of the looting spree that actually took place. You're talking about the suffering. There is enormous suffering right now because as there is only one grocery shop left. You're talking here about the population of about 300,000 people now that are now solely dependent on this one shop.
Yeah, and I would imagine that the smaller areas are going to feel that impact for quite some time if their only general store has been destroyed. But looking at the province as a whole, authorities in the province are still assessing, I think, the full extent of the damage. What can you tell us about that?
Well, Sally, today the MEC for Kokta, Sabotage, visited KwaNongoma to assess the damage. And what he has said is that they are now looking into declaring these small villages as disaster areas so that they can fast-track the rebuilding process and the cleanup operations. He says that on Tuesday they'll be having a meeting as provincial government and they will be discussing whether they should be declaring these towns as disaster areas, because it's very hard for government to provide help because of limited funds. We also have been following them around doing these assessments. On Tuesday, they visited another small village called Bulwe and Donnybrook. And in that area also, there's only one operating supermarket. And residents in that area have to travel over 30 minutes to the next town, which is Annaberg, to get food essentials. So they are very worried as government that these small towns are not able to get enough food essentials.
Such a good point that you make, and sorry about our audio to you is not great, but what I picked up is that you're saying that indeed it is these small villages such as Donnybrook that possibly need to be declared disaster areas because they've been so badly affected. And of course we focused on the big metro areas, but it's those small areas that really need assistance and help now. Thank you so much for bringing us that story. That is our reporter Lethiwe Mdluli.